Welcome back to BLOCKTV. This is Links in the Chain, where we speak to some of the people making strides in the blockchain space. Now today we are joined by John Ward, Executive Vice President and Chief Technology Officer at In Demand, and Halsey Minor, Strategic Technology Partner to the VideoCoin Network. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, well, this one, we'll start off with Halsey. What exactly is the VideoCoin Network?
Yeah, so what we do is take advantage of unutilized compute resources, mostly in data centers, to provide a service companies like Amazon Web Service provide, which is all the things that go into the processing and distribution of video. So obviously, we've seen an explosion in the amount of video. All that needs to be processed, called encoded, and then of course distributed to all the various different platforms. And so we do that at a fraction of the cost of Amazon Web Services, as I said, by using computers that are otherwise unused sitting in data centers today. And that's about $30 billion worth of computers that are sitting there that have no use today to anybody.
Wow, $30 billion, that's a massive number of wasted potential. Now, is that how is the blockchain connected with this? Is this utilizing the blockchain to do those savings?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right, you know, what's the first use case for the blockchain? It's really Bitcoin. And what does Bitcoin do? It takes advantage of computing resources all across the world, and those with the lowest cost are, in fact, the successful miners. And so we're just applying that miner model, which has been proven over and over and over and over again with crypto tokens and Bitcoin, and we're applying it to productive work, which is the processing of videos. So, you know, before, if you started a business and you wanted to rely on people around the world to contribute computing to a network, there'd be no proof that people would do that. Today, it's very different. Decentralized processing of information is now a thing. It started with Bitcoin. That's use case number one.
Mm-hmm. Now, John, switching over to you, you're In Demand. You guys recently announced a partnership with VideoCoin. You want to tell me a little bit about that partnership?
Sure. You know, when I started at In Demand back in April of this year, you know, one of my main tasks was to try to make things more efficient, find new technologies, introduce ways to streamline our workflows, be able to scale quicker at a cheaper cost. And VideoCoin and the idea of the decentralized networking resources was interesting to us. We're really looking forward to working with Halsey's group in trying to define what this needs to be for a media company, from just not only storing content, but being able to process, package, transcode, and then ultimately distribute content. You know, anything that is cutting edge or is going to make us better with less resources, I'm always interested in doing. And it's a cool journey to be involved with right now, and looking forward. My team's excited about it, and we're looking forward to seeing what this could eventually become.
Mm-hmm. And you know, what kind of efficiency gains? I mean, you both are speaking about these efficiency gains, this kind of streamlining effect, kind of streamlining and efficiency gains and savings. Where do you mostly see that, especially when it comes to decentralizing the distribution of media?
Yeah, I mean, our goal is that we end up at about half the cost or better. It's a little hard to predict the exact reduction in cost because we don't completely know today, you know, at what price data centers are going to offer up their compute. But we do believe that it will be at least half and possibly more, because as I said, these are all computers today that are doing nothing, sitting in a data center, and honestly, anything is better than nothing. But we're targeting at least half in terms of lowering the cost of encoding video and distributing video.
I mean, when you're speaking of half, this is over to you, John. I mean, as a consumer for me, I just turn on my TV, I go to a website, I press play, and the video shows up. That's all I see. Now, you're more behind the scenes. Can you tell us a little bit, how much on the distributor side, how much is, how much infrastructure, how much does it cost for this really infrastructure, and how much is this really weighing down on the company's books?
Well, look, I'll tell you, when I got to In Demand, they had a strategy years ago when they got into the cloud to begin with, which I think kind of mirrored a bunch of companies where they began to treat the cloud much like nearline storage. And those costs, when they started taking things out of that storage, were astronomical. So by the time I got to In Demand, these guys were kind of retreating from the cloud, and for good reason. With the amount of processing and the amount of content that we're adding on a daily basis, it can get out of hand quickly. It's the cost to store it, and Halsey knows this better than anyone, it's what it is. But when you want that content back, that's where it becomes ridiculous sometimes. And look, you asked about efficiencies gained. I mean, look, it's all about cost for us, right? At the end of the day, we're gaining assets, we're adding affiliates, we're adding customers, and we're looking for ways to expand that service. But I've got to be able to do so in a manner that's consistent and not only reliable, scalable, secure, but I've got to do it in the most cost-effective way possible.
Now, do either of you see a future? Right now there is a clear, differentiating line between the company that hosts the video, the company that actually produces the video, and the actual consumers. Do you guys see a future, especially with these decentralized hosting, with this blockchain? Do you see a future kind of where even the consumers are kind of part of that process, where they're even hosting some of the video, where possibly, hey, I don't have to pay for HBO or a certain type of futuristic HBO because I'm hosting some of their video?
Well, I think that's kind of what we're doing, actually, right? So it isn't at the level of I get free HBO because I'm hosting video processing and storage on my computer. It looks more like this. I contribute my computer to the network. My computer does video processing. My computer does video storage. I therefore receive cash compensation for that. And I should point out, because it is the single biggest difference between us and every other project out there, is that we run on fiat. So we run on regular money that Amazon Web Services runs on, which is credit cards, using your bank account, et cetera. And that's great for our customers because they don't have to go to an exchange and buy volatile money. And then it's also good for the data centers because they're all getting paid in dollars or whatever the local currency is. So the friction that comes with a lot of these projects where you have to buy cryptocurrency to use the network, we've eliminated in how we operate. And we're the first to do it. And I think in 2020, just as stable coins became a big part of trading, we think that fiat payments will become essential for any DApp that wants to attract real world customers.
I mean, I think that's definitely an interesting take on how to help onboard and adopt people to your platform. Making them not have to buy crypto is definitely one way of doing it. Now, speaking over to kind of decentralized hosting, do you foresee either of you? Do you foresee? I mean, you guys are on the inside. You guys know how harmful, let's say, illegal torrenting is to the media industry, especially taking away a lot of money and a lot of viewers. Do you foresee, you guys taking away or turning some of those torrenters over to the good side, kind of taking a lot of those, people who are doing it independently now, hosting these illegal files? Do you foresee you guys kind of taking them, switching them over, and saying, hey, you host it for us, and you could actually get paid for it?
Yeah, I don't, because people torrent for completely different reasons, right? They're not torrenting to get paid money. They're torrenting mostly to get content that is been illegally taken, right? So that's the relationship people have with BitTorrent. They actually get content that, by and large, they should be paying for, and they're not. And for doing that, they get to they have to host content themselves. we're really a direct competitor for Amazon Web Services, Google. It's a tens of billions of dollars market size for the processing and storage and streaming of video. That's what we do. We're not in any way, and our customers are not the kinds of people who will be torrenting. I mean, on the data center side, and also on the customers like John, the companies like John who would use us. They obviously have no relationship with torrenting other than it's a huge negative in the media industry and the customers we will serve.
Well, John, I'm sure that you've had your pick. Like he said, he's competing with Amazon Web Services. There's so many cloud providers out there. What drew you to VideoCoin?
It's new. The technology. I mean, if you think about it, you mentioned it earlier. With especially from a media standpoint, the security concerns, to be able to use and utilize a decentralized network and have all of your content across multiple nodes, multiple servers, seems to me to be much safer than a lot of these other services. I mean, ultimately, again, my sort of charge and mandate. The great news about In Demand when I got there is that it was working and it was running. My task was, how do I find ways to make it more productive and scale it? This seemed like a very natural fit. And look, I think ultimately too, this type of service is not going to be limited to just sort of the post world. I mean, one of the original things I looked at it in my former life, working in live sports, the ability for live broadcasters to use it, especially as cloud technology allows for more delivery of live content and transport of content that would go in and out of a live production. I think the possibilities are endless, but I'm always looking for a new way or a new edge. And I mean, look, it's kind of hard to debate and argue against Halsey and what he's done in his career. And look, I was attracted to being able to work with Halsey and his group. I mean, they're great guys, smart guys, and it was really a natural attraction for us.
Now, Halsey, this is one for you. I mean, for the end user, for the consumer who just wants to see a video, how reliable is the system? Let's say a system is connected to that's I'm kind of gaining access to a video from a server. That server goes offline, bad connections. How are you guys overcoming the limitations or the variables that kind of come with decentralizing hosting?
Yeah, so I mean, these are obviously things that we have to think about on the encoding side. And just so everybody knows what encoding is, it's videos are very big, lots of data, and then you have to shrink them down to a small size and distribute them to all of the various different devices that people have. And people don't really probably know this, but like one video needs to be in 2,000 different formats, different data rates for different devices, et cetera. So that's pretty straightforward. You can have a couple hundred servers, maybe up to 1,000 servers that have to process it. As you have people coming and going out of the network, the bigger problem is really around storage, and the way you handle that really is by putting the content on a large number of servers. This is the same thing that Filecoin and SIA and a bunch of other things are also looking at doing, not for video, but more generally. So it really requires us to obviously cache content on a large number of servers to ensure that there's never any issue with content being lost for our customers.
Okay, well, Halsey, first off, I'd like to thank you for providing traditional companies, with a new alternative based off the blockchain, kind of a new future that could kind of grow. And John, especially to you, I really do want to call out that it does take a certain forward thinker to kind of say, hey, we're looking for something new, we're looking for something different. Screw it all what everyone else has been doing, and to really go for it. So thank you guys for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And for all our viewers at home, if you would like to know more about crypto and blockchain, make sure to check us out at blocktv.com.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.